What up, though? It's your boy Kamal Lukata, and this is the Kamal Lukata Show. And I got a special edition for y'all. It's that Detroit rap history. That's right, we getting ready to go back and kick it about Detroit's origins in hip hop. All right now. Yeah. It's your boy Kamal Lukata. And once again, it's the Kamal Lukata Show. And we are sponsored by Irvin's Professional. We are also sponsored by Divas Den. Check them out on the YouTube channel, Divas Den After Dark. And we gonna kick right into it. All right, so first of all, we're gonna talk about Detroit's hip-hop history. Who is the first Detroit rapper? Who is the first Detroit rap group? Who was the first person to put out an album? You know, where does Detroit's history start at, or what are the origins? So let's kind of get off into it a little bit. Okay, let's take it back. For this younger generation, a lot of the younger generation right now in Detroit, they listening to rappers like Payroll and T Grizzly and Peasy and Icewear Vizzo, things like that, Band Gang, all that type of stuff. And I love them little young cats. Them cats can rap. They cold. They spit it about the hustling game in Detroit. A lot of people don't care about that, but I mean that's what them cats know. That's their experience, and they do a good job. I mean, in comparison to what you're hearing on the radio coming from other places throughout the country, I think these cats do a great job. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of the young cats that's like probably 25 and under, if you ask them when Detroit rap history started or who was the first Detroit rapper, they might tell you Blade Icewood, or they might tell you K-Deezy or something, or Royce the 5'9", maybe even, you know what I'm saying? Maybe even Big Hurt, you know what I'm saying? And that's cool because that you know, we come from a city right now that most of our artists have been underground and have they've only been able to attain a certain level of mainstream success. That's not to knock their talent, because Detroit, talent-wise, has always been at the top, upper echelon of the industry. It's just that the industry has always found a way to try to exclude Detroit artists from the industry. Okay, so if you ask certain people that, like I say, that's 35 and under, who the first rapper from Detroit is, they might go back a little bit further. Okay, a lot of people may say Awesome Dre. A lot of people might say Detroit Most Wanted, Smiley, Eshawn. Okay. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go back a little bit, and we're going to talk about the various eras in Detroit's hip-hop history, okay, and get you where we at. Okay, first of all, in the late 70s, now, let me give a disclaimer. I'm speaking all this off the top of my head, so if anybody got any disputes about the information that I'm giving out, please find the right information and correct me on my Facebook page, and just let me know what time it is. Okay. So let's go back. Detroit in the 1970s. In the 1970s, in the late 1970s, Detroit had come toward the end of the gang era with the Earl Flynn's and the BKs and things like that. You know, there had come a point in time where a lot of cats in Detroit had started discovering how to make money in the heroin game. Okay. And during that time, you started having little small crews start branching out and building within various neighborhoods. Okay, one of those first crews was like YBI, Young Boys Incorporated, which started in the Dexter Linwood area and through the Jeffries projects. Okay, reason I bring that up because it's very important to understand that Detroit being a city that in the late 70s, early 80s, and throughout most of the 80s, that was based on really that drug scene in that crack era. It had an effect on what a lot of people were listening to because, you know, now you got cats making money and they buying cars and putting sounds in their cars. So they bumping all the latest stuff. And you got places like Belle Isle in Detroit that was popular for people to go to and, you know, bump their sounds out and things like that. Okay. So you had that. And then you had Detroit being the type of city because of people like Electrifying Mojo, who introduced a lot of the music, a lot of funk music to Detroit, and a lot of techno music to Detroit. Electrifying Mojo introduced the city to Prince, Rick James, Morris Day and the Time, Tina Marie, what else? Mary Jane Girls, Vanity 6, Apollonia 6. You know, all those type of artists, you know, that was into that funk, kind of disco funk, almost early hip hop style of music, but still R&B. And Detroit was real big on that. You know, back in those days, I mean, Prince and Rick James, they come to Detroit, they gonna sell the concert out quick, because we was big on those type of artists. George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic, you know, they originated their music here in Detroit, made some of their best music here in Detroit. Okay, but it was the sounds of the Belleville Three, which are better known as Juan Atkins, Kevin Saunderson, and Derek Mays from Belleville, Michigan, right outside of Detroit, Michigan, who came out with a sound called techno. It was kind of a robotic type of sound of music that was kind of a mixture of hip hop and a mixture. It was what people would call electro funk. Okay. And there wasn't really any lyrics to it. There were lyrics, but not formal lyrics. You know, it was like a lot of, if there was any lyrics, it was like a lot of voice altering or auto tuning back then. It wasn't called auto tuning, but it was like robotic sounds and things like that. And that type of music, it helped to usher in Detroit's love for the club scene and the dance scene, and, you know, the fast up tempo and hardcore, like hard hitting bass bumping type of club music that came out in the 90s that was real popular in Detroit. And that was real popular at Belle Isle when people was riding their cars around. That same group, Juan Atkins from that group eventually started his own group called Cybertron and started making music. You know, songs like Clear and I think that's called Alleys of the Mind. What else? Cosmic Cars. You know, just different stuff like that. And then also he started a group called Model 500, and they made some good stuff like UFO and Future and different stuff like that. Between Electrifying Mojo and between Detroit's local dance show, which was called The Scene, hosted by Nat Morris, and later on the New Dance Show, which was what it was called. It was called The New Dance Show, which was hosted by R.J. Watkins. Between that and also another DJ by the name of The Wizard, who eventually went on to become who go on by his real name, Jeff Mills, and eventually become a techno legend over in England. Between all of those factions, Detroit developed its own style of music that it had a love for. Okay. And so now let's go back with that, with that type of scene that was created in Detroit. How did it help? What did it have to do with the hip hop music and all that stuff? Okay, let's not forget that. We had a dance scene here. We had a dance called jitting. People, was jitting, and they still do it to this day. It's like a hip hop dance in Detroit. It's like Detroit's version of break dance and a pop locking. Then you got, different dances like the schoolcraft and the German Smurf and the Rambisco and the Earl Flynn and, later on in recent years, the Blade Dance and things like that. But those are different areas of the basis and the foundation of Detroit's hip hop scene. Okay, now, what was the first rap heard by Detroit artists? Okay, I'm going to play something by a group called Was Not Was that came out of Detroit, and a song called Out Come the Freaks. It was a popular dance and skating song that came out back in 1982. Okay, I'm gonna play a part from it, only a piece. There's a rap on here, and I don't know if I can locate it right now. But listen, just check this out. Okay, on this part right here, there's a certain part on here where there's a small rap on here. Okay, hold up for a minute. Let me kind of speed it up a little bit. Okay, that's it. Now check this out right here. All right. That rap right there, which is not a conventional rap in terms of hip hop. It's kind of got a disco flow to it, but it's considered a rap, but it's arguably the first rap verse that was ever rapped on an album from someone from Detroit. Okay, and that was in if I'm correct, let me see what year was that song came out. Okay, if I'm correct, that was like 1981 or 1982. Okay, now I got that information from DJ Los from the group Easy B and DJ Los. Okay, it was if I'm correct, from what I got from him, it was Carl Butch Small, which was his father, that was rapping on that verse, rapping on that song. Okay, so that's arguably the first time somebody ever from Detroit ever rapped over a song. Okay, now, who was the first actual rap artist or rap group to put out an album in Detroit? Okay, so let's fast forward to 1982 when The Scene, which was a hot dance show hosted by Nat Morris. The Scene used to display local artists and even national artists on their show. And there was a group by the name of Felix and Jarvis. It was a duo. Okay, and Felix and Jarvis put out a hit that was somewhat nationwide, but a real big hit in Detroit. And I'm going to play it right now. I'm going to just play the intro, real short intro part. You should recognize this.
you ready to throw down? Yes, we are. Are you ready to throw down? Yes, we are. Now the people in the party call the real party people. If you really want to party, throw down. Now the people in the party call the real party people. If you really want to party, throw down. Like thinking people think Peter Pan, peanut butter. They all take us just to rock one another. We're rocking the mic from now until we give all the young ladies a thrill. Want to start to rock? You better not panic. It's only because I'm getting romantic. So when you see my eyes get big, I'm thinking of a scheme that will both dig. That's just one thing the whole women can do.
All right. That was Felix and Jarvis right there. Okay. Then Felix and Jarvis did the intro. They eventually did the intro on the scene. Okay. And everybody in Detroit knows this intro right here.
Well, it's the clock, and it's time to rock. And we rock non-stop till 7 o'clock. We don't stop. We don't stop. We rock non-stop till 7 o'clock. Cause we hip, hop, hippity hop, but we jam on. Like dancers come from all around to throw down in this here geek town. The latest steps and the latest styles. Pretty faces and pretty smiles. We're looking good, everybody's green. It's 6 o'clock and time for the scene. The scene. And now.
All right, that was Felix and Jarvis with their intro on the scene. They used to come on every day at 6 o'clock, Monday through Fridays, and they were real popular back in those days. But right now, I'm standing on the argument that Felix and Jarvis are arguably the first Detroit rap artists to put out an album. Okay. And they were pretty big back then. Okay. Now, that was the early era in Detroit. It was kind of like that skating era and that real hard dance era and, you know, that techno dance era. And you could tell by the sound of the music on that and by Was Not Was, Out Come the Freaks. Okay, so we're going to step up to about 1986. Okay, there was a group that were from outside of Detroit, right outside Detroit in Pontiac, called QTMC in 1986. Okay, now I may be skipping a few artists that were out, but this is the information that I got. Thanks to my homeboy, Big Steve FedEx, for helping me out with some of this information right here. But this group right here, they had a song called My Buddy. Okay, so check it out. This is... All right. Okay, that was My Buddy. Okay. If you notice, they had kind of a style similar to the group The Fat Boys. You know, they was beatboxing and everything. And that was in that 1986 era where you had Detroit was kind of really heavily influenced by those hard-hitting rappers like Run DMC, LL Cool J, Fat Boys, Houdini, things like that, UTFO, all that type of stuff. But also, the drug had a lot of artists that was really into a lot of street music and things like that. So even if they wasn't talking about the streets, they had a hard-hitting street style. Okay, then you got this song right here by A-Tack called My Car. This was a hit back then, and this was in also in about 1986.
I drive a raggedy car, Ford white and red, but I'd rather ride a bike or a skateboard instead because my car never works. It always gives in. The man at the auto shop has become my best friend. I can easily buy a new one, so they ask me why, but I just tell them because I have more important things to buy, like 2 PV speakers kicking in my room, a real huge boom box with a triple dose of room.
All right, that was A-Tac with My Car. Kind of a gimmicky sounding song, but it was kind of slick. It was kind of had that Fresh Prince type of sound, like he telling a story. Then there was Audie D with the song Rock Till You Drop. Okay. There's also an argument that he's one of the first artists to put out an album. So check this out. All right, that's Audie D right there. And I got to do some more research, but I was kind of told that Audie D was the first solo rapper to pretty much have his actual, his own CD out. Not CD, but tape back in them days, or LP. Okay. Then there was a group called BMW with a song called Rock the House. Okay. All right, that was the BMW crew. That was BMW. Okay, not BMW crew, but BMW. Okay. So you had some cats that came in like the 1986-87 era that, you know, had some good music, but they really never got past a level of underground status. Okay. But eventually there was, I think through MTV Raps and through invention called the box. The box was this it was like it wasn't a show, but it was kind of a gadget that you could sit at home and order videos. And pretty much they also had a listing of Detroit artists at that time. And that's what I remember was one of the biggest reasons I got a chance to know who some of the top Detroit rappers was. So in 1987, let's go to this right here. The first rap album that I ever seen by a Detroit artist, myself personally, was Easy B and DJ Los. And this was in 1987. Okay. I'm fast forwarding into the rap part. All right, that's Easy B and DJ Los, and they were the first group that I say that kind of helped to usher in the new era of Detroit rappers, or the first era of Detroit rappers that kind of started becoming household names within the city. Okay. Then you had after that Prince Vince. Okay. Prince Vince had one of the first songs that was on the radio, and he had this song to a Parliament Funkadelic beat right here. It was called Gangsta Funk, and it was a real big hit in Detroit. They would play it on the radio sometimes, and I mean, it would just really rock the house. This is Prince Vince, Gangsta Funk. Oh, yeah, that was a cold cut right there. That was one of my favorite cuts. Okay, Prince Vince kind of ushered in an era, too. And it was kind of like a certain swagger that artists had back then. Then you had Awesome Dre. Okay, now let me date you again. Prince Vince, that Gangsta Funk came out in 1987. Nah, You Can't Hold Me Back by Awesome Dre. 1989, and that's when the era of artists who really started becoming household names due to the box. Okay, people could order videos on the box. Okay, it was like a TV station called the box. Okay, now this is Awesome Dre, You Cannot Hold Me Back. Awesome Dre became one of the first artists to get major notoriety, nationwide notoriety outside of Detroit. And he was known for his really lyrical style. He is considered what some people arguably consider him the godfather of Detroit. I personally consider him the godfather of Detroit. And this is his first hit, You Can't Hold Me Back.
You cannot hold me back, 'cause that will attack. Just like a Mack truck on Amtrak locomotive. You never grab a hold of me. The velocity of my velocity strong. They can feel it in Hong Kong. And when I throw a show, you know the lines are long. For what I be popping, you can't hold me back. There's no stopping. Call me a mailman, 'cause I will deliver. Even in the freezing rain, I won't shiver like UPS. Federal Express, Awesome Dre's and overnight success. Show me some cars, I show you how to shuffle them. Show me a Skrilla, I show you how to muffle them. You wanna rumble, I show you how to scuffle fag. You want a mag, I got one in my duffel bag. Scalawags, rolling up zigzag, wearing shags, smelling like dish rag. I'm not down with the program, Abraham. You better scram with the flim flam. Awesome Dre, yes, that's who I am. Proud to say that I passed every exam put before a brother like yours truly. But I didn't get too unruly. I stayed calm and coolly collected.
Man, that boy right there cold. Now them was lyrics right there. Awesome Dre, for the younger generation, look him up. He's considered the godfather of Detroit rap. Okay, a lot of people think that he's the first Detroit rapper, but he's not the first Detroit rapper. He's just the first Detroit rapper to really make it big. I think he had, kind of had a stint with Public Enemy. He had collaborated with them on some things and on some tours, and Ice-T, artists like that. So Awesome Dre, he's really a true pioneer in the game. Okay. Then there's Esham. I don't have any music by Esham right now. Esham was an artist who, from the east side of Detroit, who really, I think if I'm correct, he started in about 87, 88, maybe 89. And Esham had some really hardcore music, and he had his own record label, and he was one of the first artists to have his own independent record labels from Detroit. And Esham to this day is one of the most successful independent rap artists with his own record label, since the late 80s, early 90s. And he is also one of the first hip-hop artists from Detroit to make it real big. Okay. Then there's Champ Town. Okay. Now, Champ Town is big time in Detroit. Okay. Champ Town was one of the top artists back then. Okay. The thing about Champ Town was he helped to put on a lot of artists like Eminem, and he dealt with Kid Rock and things like that. And so when you look up Champ Town, look him up. He's one of the top pioneers. He's really one of the first artists to really do some things out here, and you definitely have to give him credit for Detroit's hip hop scene. Okay. Also, we got let me see who else. Let me try to see who else we got. After Awesome Dre, there were artists like let me see. You had Chaos and Maestro. You had Detroit Most Wanted. You had Smiley. You had AWOL. You had who else? There was Triplex. Okay, all these artists came out between the years of 89 and 92. Okay, let me see if I missed anybody. There was The Box. There was Merciless Amir. There was Rap Mafia. There was J to the D. Okay, so you gotta excuse me, my phone is ringing, but forgive me. There was B Def and Poncho. There was Papa J Smooth. There was Jack Frost. Okay. There was Dice. Okay. So there was a lot of cats out there. There was the Fresh Boys. Okay. And this was all before 92. Okay. Also, you got to give shout out to artists like Boss, female gangster rapper who came out and really helped to show that Detroit had some Detroit had was a powerhouse when it came to female rap artists. Okay. There was also a group called Exchange. Now these artists that I'm talking about now, Boss and Exchange, they kind of came out after 92, but at the same time, like I said, Detroit has an extensive hip hop history. We need to take it upon ourselves as a hip hop community in Detroit to research our own history before somebody else try to come in and tell our story. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and end this podcast today. If you want to get with me on some things or got some questions or suggestions, check me out at on my Facebook page. If you're listening, then you know my Facebook page right now. Okay. But go on. You can follow me on Instagram at Kamal_Lukata or Twitter at Kamal_Lukata. Okay. What else? Once again, we are you can email me at Lukata77@gmail.com. Okay. Once again, we are sponsored by Divas Den, and we are also sponsored by who is that? I'm sorry, Irving Professional. But once again, it's a pleasure talking to my audience. I got some more stuff I'm gonna be kicking it with you about later on, and we will be back. All right. So I'm gonna leave you with some of this awesome Dre. It's Kamal Lukata and the Kamal Lukata Show, and we are signing out. Peace.
Show me a skrilla, I show you how to muffle them. You wanna rumble, I show you how to scuffle bag. You want a mag, I got one in my duffel bag. Scallawag, rolling up zigzag, wearing shags, smelling like dish rag. I'm not down to program, Abraham. You better scram with the flim flam, awesome Dre. Yes, that's who I am. Proud to say that I passed every exam put before a brother like yours truly. But I didn't get too unruly. I stayed calm and coolly collected, lost my temper. Then I wrecked it, snatched the mic right out the sucker hand. Another lookalike trying to cop my plan.